There's a lot of support for kids and young people that are in crisis, and there's a lot of support for the kids that are the elite. But the ones that sit in the middle, the ones that are kind of just figuring it out and still showing up but could go either way, there's not enough support there for those kids. I tried to find support for some young people that were experiencing mental health, and I was turned away. It was like, oh no, our books are full, or their symptoms aren't matching what our requirements are. So I decided to start Kilalana as an after-school program for young women while I was pregnant with my 5th child, working full-time, and I thought I'll figure it out as I go. We do things like cultural days out on country. We bring facilitators in to not only teach their knowledge but to share their stories. Yeah, so the Barkindji warrior was gifted to me because of my fighting spirit. Someone suggested that I should try martial arts, and for me Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was a pathway for me to find myself. It gave me the means and the tools to explore who I was, to learn discipline. And after the birth of my twins at the time, in 2009, I developed severe postnatal depression. And I didn't know how to ask for help. It wasn't safe for me to come forward and say, this is what I'm feeling. But there also wasn't the education or the support at the time. Well, with Jiu-Jitsu, that was the starting point of my husband saying, well, you don't want to take medication, you don't want to do counselling, let's try Jiu-Jitsu again. So the first time I stepped on the mats of Jiu-Jitsu, at that point in my life, it was a form of physical, emotional and spiritual healing. I was looking for something to help me battle the darkness that I was going through. And it was at that point I started to find a pathway forward. I found a community. I found a vehicle for my healing to come through, and that strengthened my connection to my culture, and those two things saved my life. We're a collective community and culture, but we're also have a high element of our collective culture that's sick from the trauma of past experiences that play out in the symptoms of drug and alcohol abuse, suicide, mental health, incarceration rates, risk-taking behaviour. So I wanted to be someone that was living the message that I was trying to serve to the community. Just in writing the application helped me get out of my head and out of my heart onto paper what was my vision for Kilalana, which was to provide a safe space for young Aboriginal women to come together to learn how to be self-empowered, to become themselves, so that they could then be the leaders of the future that we know we need. Because when you invest in a girl, you change a generation. Leadership is important, but I think what's more important is heart-led leadership. Is when you're being or doing something in service of others, that's when we start to come back to humanity. That's when we take the ego out of the equation, and then that's when we're doing something for the collective benefit of other people, which then has ripple effects and healing for our communities and our society. We're now doing events, and we're now doing mentoring as well. So from the little idea that I had, that I gave birth to, it's now grown beyond me. So my dream and vision is to be able to bring in other people to step in and support and guide it. My dream is to be in a position where we can have our own space, we can have a bus, I can step away from the direct delivery of the program and employ a program coordinator and a CEO who has the strength and the conviction and the skill sets to guide this as a not-for-profit, as a growing entity, into something that has so much potential. Legacy is one of my core values. Warrior heart, courage and legacy are the foundations that I'm building this next chapter in my future on. If one girl can walk away from this, and I know that I can meet her in 20 years' time and know that because of the program or the connection that she made, she was able to say no to domestic violence, or she found her own path forward so that her children didn't become victims of her trauma, then everything I have done has been worthwhile. I'm planting seeds of trees that I'll never sit under, and that's what legacy to me is about. It's not about me, it's about the seeds I'm planting for 6, 7 generations ahead of me.